All right, guys, so we're out here in the experimental forest today, and there's a good area here that's full of a lot of aspens. So there's gonna be a lot of down aspens in here because they tend to rot standing and then snap off in wind and things like that, and then turn to rotten or punky wood. So I want to take you out here and show you what punk wood looks like, show you what the inner bark of the aspen looks like, because to me, it's one of the greatest resources in eastern woodlands when it comes to making fire. So join me for this video and we'll get started. Thanks. Now, one of the things that I get a lot of questions about is punk wood. What is the best wood to collect for punk wood? How do you select punk wood, especially for things like making char? But there's also some benefits to certain types of punk wood that are even more conducive to making fire than others, even if it's not charred. And that is aspen punk wood. Aspen punk wood is the best. This is a downed aspen tree right here. And aspen is one of my favorite types of bushcrafting resource trees, especially when it comes to fire. Aspen and tulip poplar, which isn't actually a poplar, it's a magnolia, but all poplar family trees have that same stringy inner bark, and aspen is a poplar family tree. And aspen has a lot of stringy inner barks that you can use for things like tinder bundles and bird nests, okay? So we're gonna look at some downed aspens in this area of the woods today, and I'm gonna show you what good punk wood looks like, how to collect it, how to properly utilize it, and a couple tricks you may not realize. Stay with me. Okay, so you can see this aspen is starting to rot away. And these inner fibers of the aspen are what we would use for making our bird nest. You can see how long and stringy those fibers are. So that's your bird nest material you're going to collect off of an aspen tree. And then the rotten wood part of that here, that has lots and lots of surface area opened up in it because it's rotting away, that's the portion you want for your punk wood. So you've got two great resources here. You've got one for your tinder bundle, and you've got one for making char as well. We're gonna walk through here, we're gonna collect quite a bit of punk wood today and a little bit of tinder. I'm gonna show you how to use this stuff. Now this tinder's a little wet, but the advantage of that is it dries out fairly quickly once you process it down and lay it in the sun. You're gonna be in good shape. And we don't want to break this down too much because it's going to shrink in size when we char it anyway. But this is the kind of punk wood we're looking for to char, and about the consistency we want right here. So we've got our char material, we've got our tinder material, we've got all of that together. Now, if we can find some of this that's dry, we could start a fire with this without charring it whatsoever. But if it's wet, it's going to have to dry out first. Chance of you finding some dry are also pretty good, depending on where you're looking and what time of year it is. All right, so we're taking some of this punk wood here, and we're actually charring it in a canteen cup on an electric burner with my Anchor 1000. And not my preferred method of making char, but it will work. You know, you can do whatever you want to do if you work around it. I'm in an area where there's a fire ban for the most part right now, so I can't start an open fire here. However, I can char this material up and kind of try to light this bird nest for you and show you how the char is supposed to work, and put it out right away on a gravel road here and we'll be fine. But I want to get this video done for you guys. And again, you know, it doesn't take a lot to make char. You don't have to have a little bitty tin of char and stick it into a coal bed, you know, where you're going to get the fire at to begin with. Well, you have to make a bow drill fire and then make the char. But you're making char, you know, on the fly for next fire mentality. I'm not making char here just for a video. I'm making enough char that I can put some of this in my kit. So when I do make a fire in the woods, instead of having to worry about the possibility of having everything dry and whatnot, I've got an ember I can use to help start that fire with something like a bird nest of material, also collected from the landscape very easily. And I can stash this in my kit, keep it in my tinder box, and I'm good to go. So we'll wait till the smoke stops rolling out of this cup here. And that's the key to making char, is starving it of oxygen, superheating it to carbonize it, open up the already porous material so that it's more porous and it's completely dried out and charred. And then it will accept a spark from a low temperature device like flint and steel, but also something like solar magnification is a perfect way to start a fire with charred material. And I'm going to show you how fast that works here in just a minute. Now, a lot of people ask questions like, how long does it take to make the char? And really, there's no solid answer to that, because it depends on how much material you have and how hot your fire is. It has to carbonize the material completely. Generally speaking, if you wait till the smoke stops rolling off and the gases stop escaping from any places that you have a hole or a hinge or something like that, like they're coming out of this hole now, once that stops, the material is probably carbonized. Then you'll need to remove it from the heat and let it cool completely down before you open the container, or you'll add oxygen to hot material and create fire and burn your char up. So we've had this stuff sitting out here on the tailgate, and while we're doing this, and hopefully we'll be able to start a small bird nest on fire that's laying right here we collected today with this char as soon as we get it completed. All right, so you can see in here, you've got some things in here that are brown, still not black. That means everything in this container did not char completely, and it wasn't left long enough. But there's plenty of pieces in here that are completely charred that will work. So you can't overdo it as long as you don't let oxygen in, but you can underdo it by not leaving it in there long enough. Now, you can just put this container right back in the fire, not a problem, or right back on your heat plate and let it go longer. But for this demonstration, there's stuff in here that will definitely work. So we can use that, all right? So I've got a piece right here, and that will take a low temperature spark or a magnifying glass very easily. So let me grab my map case. Now, in my map case, because I wear glasses, I generally keep a round magnifying glass in here, a round magnifier or Fresnel lens, to look at my map in case I lose my glass or something, okay? But it also makes a great fire starter. So if we, oh, a little windy, we catch this bad boy real quick with some white. And it'll probably be burning before you even think it is. And you won't know it. But you may see it turn white. There you go. Now, if we just take this and set it aside for a second and take our little bird nest of material and throw it in there. Gather up this stuff off the thing here. Kind of push that charred material down inside. We'll go out here on the road. The good thing about charred material is it lasts a long time, especially when you're talking about something like wood off the landscape where it's not a piece of cloth. And I'm kind of letting the air do some work for me here because it's a little breezy out here. To heat this material up that may be a little bit marginal because it was damp when we pulled it off the forest floor. It's been laying on the tailgate for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. That doesn't mean it's completely dry. So I'm just, there it goes, boom. The wind did it for me. Piece of cake, nothing to it. Fire, okay? Easy as that. So that literally is the advantage to punk wood material for char. It lights up very, very quickly, very, very easily. It works really, really well. And you can make a fire very quickly with it, even with some marginal tinder sources. You might not be able to light that with a ferrocerium rod because it's a little bit too damp yet. It's a little bit too coarse. All those types of things may keep you from lighting it right away with the ferrocerium rod and take lots and lots of strikes from expendable resources, okay? Remember that the sun is a renewable resource. So if you have that charred material in your kit and you have the sun, you have a renewable resource you can renew off the landscape with every fire, and you have something that will aid you in your next fire, even if the materials that you're selecting off the landscape are somewhat marginal. Now, obviously, if you have open flame, matches, lighters, things like that, they're gonna light those fires immediately. However, conserving those resources and thinking about that conservation mentality, it's very easy to start fires with a magnifying glass and charred material, or a flint and steel, or your silky saw, or your hard carbon steel knife with a good rock. All of those things will work on this type material very easily. Even a lighter that's out of fluid will work for this purpose very, very easily. And I'll show you that as well. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to cut the plastic handle off of a bag that I have for trash. But this will work, again, you know, improvise and adapt and overcome, right? So piece of cordage is what we need. We probably got one laying around somewhere, but this is an easy thing to do. We wrap this around this lighter a couple of times underneath that lever. It will not allow this lighter to light and will only get sparks from the lighter, okay? And I'll just twist that up and hold it in my hand so that all we're getting is sparks. Now we can take a piece of this charred material here that's black. Find a good piece in here. That one's pretty good. Something a little smaller would be better. Just dump it out right here. So there's a pretty good piece right there, okay? What I generally do with that is I just kind of fray the end a little bit, smash it a little bit, and then put it right up against the housing of the lighter like this. Spark it. And there you go. Piece of cake, another ember, right? So even if your lighter's out of fluid, you can make an ember with it. If you are trying to conserve the fluid, which is the expendable resource, you can just tie it off so that you can't compress the fuel button, and you can still light charred material that way, okay? Flint and steel, a rock, and your silky saw, any of that stuff will also light this material very, very easily. All right, so I just walked down the road and picked this rock up right here. And I've got my silky zoom bot right here. And we got multiple pieces on fire in there. Let me get this camera off of here. You can see the smoke coming off of that. That took absolutely nothing. Just a simple rock off the road and my silky saw. All right, guys, so that was just a quick video to show you some little tips and tricks on charred material, how to collect, what you need to do to create the char, some simple ways of lighting that char. But remember, you know, even though we're doing this stuff on the tailgate of my truck out here in the woods, and we use a hot plate to make this char, it's about next fire mentality. It's not about the fire that made the char. It's about the next fire. So whether you made that char in a campfire or whether you made it on the fly somehow while you were cooking your breakfast or after you were done, and you made it on the stove, you still have that charred material. And if you have to make a fire later on down the line, or you walk out in the woods to go hunting or whatever the case may be, and you want to start a fire, you have an easy way to conserve resources and do that without having to use something expendable if you don't want to. And it's great to practice those primitive and more ancestral and traditional skills as well. And the power of char should never be underestimated. It's one of the reasons we still teach it to this day at the Pathfinder School, and we teach next fire mentality starting at the basic level of survival training. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for school, for family, for business, all our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can, guys. Thanks.